Hope you're doing well. So we are going to be continuing with our work on being able to find the volume of a rectangular prism. A prism is just like a 3D object, and Stokes will be here to help us, it seems. So we are continuing to look to find the volume of a rectangular prism. And that is, right, we've talked about a couple different ways to do it, and today the way that we're going to talk about it is by using this. We're going to compose and decompose a rectangular prism to help us find the volume. So compose, that means put something together. Decompose means to break it apart, right? So if I'm composing and decomposing a rectangular prism, that means what I'm doing is I am going to be breaking it apart, putting it back together in order to help me find out what the volume is. So let's start with this. And before we get into it, I just want to take a moment and calculate the volume of this. Well, we can count the amount of blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So on this side, the blocks here, right, those blocks that I just counted, remembering that this is actually also part of this block, there are 12 blocks right there, right? So I'm going to say that this side has 12 blocks. Now, if I look at this other side, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. But just like Delilah and Juliet had said before, these 3 blocks can't be hanging out on nothing. They need to have something below them. So even though I can't see them, I know that there's another block for every block that's here that's sort of holding up these top blocks. There's a block here. So there will be another 12 total blocks on this side, right? And so just like Kiana said, we can count the total blocks, but we do need to remember that we have to look for the invisible blocks as well, right? So what we have here is we have 12 blocks plus another 12, so we've got 12 plus 12, and that gives us a total of 24 blocks, right? Now we can also use Danya's method, and we can say, well, we're going to do the length times the width times the height. What's our length? It is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's our width? It's 2, 1, 2. And what's our height? It's 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 times 2 is 6, times 4 is 24. So again, another way to calculate it, I again get 24. But what I want to show you now is I want you to actually notice that when I did this, I kind of broke it up into these 2 layers, or I decomposed my original prism, rectangular prism, into 2 layers. I said I had this one layer here that had 12 blocks in it, and I also had this second layer here that also had 12 blocks. And if you look over at this chart, what this chart is asking you is, well, how many layers does this have? 2. 1 layer and a second layer. And then it says, well, how many cubes are in each layer? And what I'm actually going to do really quick, sorry y'all, is I am going to make all of this one color. So I'm going to say that this, right, going back, here's 1 layer of cubes. There's 12 cubes there. Here is this second layer of cubes, right? Also 12. So how many layers do I have? I have 2 layers, 1 and 2, right? 2 layers. How many cubes are in each layer? Well, that's just how many cubes per layer. There's 12 per layer. And if I multiply this, 12 times 2 is 24, right? And so what you can do is actually, and I'm going to show you down here, you can take this and you can say, well, I'm going to break this apart, right? We're assuming it's the same thing. There's 12 on this side. There's also going to be 12 on this side. Number of layers, I have 2 layers. Number of cubes in each layer, 12. And I'm going to multiply them. 12 times 2, and this goes back to a little bit of what Kat was saying, right? 12 times 2 is going to be 24. So let's look at this another way. Yes, I can break it this way, sort of sideways, but what if instead of that, what if I started thinking about it as a top layer, a middle layer, and a bottom layer? Well, let's calculate this really quickly, right? Now I've got this. This is one layer. And if that's one layer, if this is one layer, then the middle row is my second layer. So I'm going to say if that's one layer, then here's a second layer, and here's a third layer. Now, in this case, just like I did with this, I'm going to show it here. I'm going to say one layer, two layers, let me redo that so it's a little better, two layers, and three layers, right? So now the question is, how many were in each layer? Let me just do this again, sorry. It's taking me a little bit of time to get used to this, but I appreciate you all bearing with me. One layer, two layer, three layer, and I got that from the three layers. The question is, well, how many are in each layer? Well, we can count them, and I can actually see all of the top ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the top layer has 8 cubes. Now if the top layer has 8 cubes, and I know it's going to be the same going down, and the middle layer is going to have 8 cubes, and the bottom layer is also going to have 8 cubes. So here, how many layers did I have? 1, 2, 3. I had 3 layers. How many cubes are in each layer? 8. And again, what's 3 times 8? 3 times 8 is, why is this not working? Is 24. Something's going wrong with my computer, I apologize. Let's try this again. Alright, is 20, come on. Alright, 24. Sorry, y'all, you're gonna have to work with me on that one. So now we've done it sideways and we've done it sort of up and down. So the last way that you can think about it is you can see that there's also a front layer, right? And then how many layers going back is it if I do front to back? Let's look. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have 4 layers, and you can count them, right? You can see this front one, this second one, this third one, this fourth one. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to draw those 4 layers. 1, 2, 3. I know it's not great, I'm sorry. Let's try to make it a little better. 1, 2, 3 layers. Just 3 layers. And the question is, how many blocks are in each layer? Well, we can count. In this front one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if this front one has 6, then this second one back will have 6, this third one back will have 6, and this last one will also have 6. So in this case, how many layers did I have? I had 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many cubes are in each layer? 6, and 4 times 6 is 24. So what I hope you're noticing is that we can take a cube like this and we can break it into its layers. We can break it top to bottom, we could break it front to back, we could break it side to side, but any way we do it, we're going to end up with the same volume. And it's a little bit quicker than counting each box, and it also helps account for the boxes that we cannot see. So let's do this with another one really quickly. Let's see, sure. It's the same one, so ignore that. All right, let's look at this. This one says, you have a rectangular prism below. It's 6 meters long, it's 6 meters long, right? Long is this way. 4 meters tall. Tall is up and down, right? Just like how tall are you? And 2 meters wide. Draw horizontal lines to show how the prism can be decomposed into layers that are 1 meter in height. So here we go. So we know that, what do we know? We know that it's looking for taking this, if it's 6 across, which is what it said it was, 6 across. If it said it was 4 high, which is another, again, it said it was 4 meters high, right? And it said it was 2 meters wide. And so what it's asking us to do is it's asking us to draw horizontal lines. Horizontal is this way, like the horizon is out in front of you and it's flat, so it's these sort of flat lines. And it wants you to decompose it into layers that are 1 meter in height. So how tall was it originally? Originally it was 4 meters in height. So let's decompose it into layers that are 1 meter. So that's 1 meter. That's 1 meter. I'm going to be a little off here, but I'm going to do my best. That's 1 meter. And then this top one is 1 meter. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. So now I have my 4 meters in height. So now it asks me, well, it has how many layers from bottom to top? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 layers. Now it says each horizontal layer, so each one of these layers contains how many cubic meters? Well, let's figure that out. If we look, it says it's 6 meters long, which means when I'm drawing this, I need to make it 6 meters long. That would be 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, 4 meter, 5 meter, and 6 meter, right? And I can even count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 meters long. And then it says it's 2 meters wide. So that means that I need to break it into 2 meters wide. That's just one line, right? Here's 1 meter wide and 2 meters wide. So then the question is, well, how many, each horizontal layer, so one of these has how many cubic meters? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. And then, so if this top one is 12, then this middle one is going to also be 12. This other middle one will be 12, and the bottom one will be 12. So 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, or 12 times 4. How many cubic meters is it? What's the volume? 48. So what you should be able to be seeing by now, what I hope you can see, is that what we can do is we can take a cube like this and we can count just one layer. As long as it's equal on all sides, we can count just one layer, and then we can say, well, if that layer has this many cubes, all the layers, doesn't matter which way, all the layers will have that many cubes as well. All right, so that should help you as you continue to work on this, and when you get to questions that are similar, for example, something like this, when it asks you, we just did that one, something like this, when it asks you, okay, well, how many layers, how many cubes in each layer, so what's the volume, and here, if it's 3 by 4 by 2, what do we do, how many layers are there, how much is in each layer, and therefore, how can I find the volume? All right, bye scholars, I will talk to you soon, I miss you.